A member of the Oversight Committee joins us now. Mike Turner is a Republican from Ohio, and good morning to you. Nice to see you in studio. Just heard the end of Lucas's report there. What do you look for now?
Well, the concern here has been prosecutorial misconduct as a result of political influence. And what we've seen in some of the charges that had been levied against Hunter Biden of not paying taxes, tax fraud, years of taxes that were absolutely not even recognized of income. The concerns of allegations of money laundering, where it appears that funds are coming from Romania, Ukraine, perhaps Russia and China with unexplained sources, that all of these issues were not being dealt with by the Attorney General's office, not by the Department of Justice, because of political influence. And that's what the IRS whistleblowers came forth and said. They said these are not being handled the way that they should be. And then ultimately we saw that the plea deal marched into court, where the court looked at it and said, this is unusual. We've not seen anything like this. This could even be unconstitutional. And that deal falling apart. And now we're back to looking to now special counsel Weiss and see what actions he's going to take to try to restore some faith in the Department of Justice ability to handle the criminal allegations of Hunter Biden's activities.
How much credibility does he have now?
He doesn't.
I mean, he went before the judge. They had a scope of immunity that wasn't applied to the actual court document. I mean, what do you make of this? Garland makes him special counsel, and
right, which is highly unusual. And with Attorney General Garland and now Special Counsel Weiss, they can't get their story straight. At first it was that Weiss had all the power that he needed and that he could prosecute in any jurisdiction and any claim, and then he was not. And then Garland appoints him as special counsel, saying he didn't have the authority that he needed. We're going to increase his ability to investigate this crime allegations. I think clearly these guys are making up their story after the fact.
James Comer is the chairman of the Oversight Committee. He was on Laura Ingram's show last night. Let's take a quick listen to that.
We know that Hunter Biden was communicating with the White House. We believe there are more that the archives are sitting on, where the Hunter Biden legal team, the Hunter Biden PR people, the Hunter Biden's shady characters who were paying him were communicating through him to his father, back and forth. There was no wall between Joe Biden and his son, Hunter Biden, and his shady business dealings.
Ian Sams is a White House spokesperson, and he said this. He said that if it's a day that ends in Y, James Comer is lying about President Biden. It's all part of his months-long effort to waste time and taxpayer resources on an evidence-free wild goose chase that does absolutely nothing to help improve the lives of Americans, which is what Congress should be prioritizing, and is only focused on politically smearing the president. Should Congress be focusing on other issues?
Well, we are focusing on other issues, but this is one that we have to focus on, because these are allegations of criminal conduct with Hunter Biden and perhaps involving the president himself that are not being investigated by the Department of Justice. Chairman Comer's doing a great job on this, and what he's doing along the way, he's making certain that the documentation that he finds as to the manner in which these monies have been handled, how they've ended up in Hunter Biden's pocket, these allegations of criminal activity, that those documentations are forward so that everybody can review them. They're not just James Comer, chairman of the committee, coming out with accusations. He's coming out with documentation, and these are very serious allegations.
How surprised were you when this indictment was revived yesterday, seemingly out of nowhere?
Well, I think we need to know more to see whether or not this is even a step or action that they're taking to prosecute this charge. It very well could be that they try to march into court again with another plea deal. We're going to have to monitor this and certainly see what's happening. But at this point, I don't think they have credibility.
Okay, so I wanted to ask you about the Ukraine and funding. Yesterday, I believe it was yesterday, Secretary Blinken was in Ukraine. Who knows what messages were being delivered, but part of it was that the Biden administration says the support will continue, adding more money, but now there's going to be a fight in the Congress over that. Where do you stand?
Well, I think this money is essential. I mean, Ukraine is the front line of democracy right now. We saw President Xi of China, when he met with Putin, say that we're bringing about change that hasn't happened in 100 years, and that 100 years, of course, is World War I and World War II. They're talking about this recompetition between authoritarian and democracy. Overwhelmingly in Congress, there is support for this funding. We just had votes on the House floor over the last 4 weeks before break, where 300 members voted to continue support. This is important. We cannot let Russia win.
War should have never happened, if you look back in hindsight. Thank you for your time, sir. We'll talk again.
Great to
Mike
see
Turner
you.
from Ohio. Thank you.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.